Jordan Raines here with the IDP 411 podcast. Just want to tell you guys today about our sponsor of the show, expandtheboxscore.com. Expandtheboxscore.com has premium NFL and college football stats. They're adaptable, they're affordable, there's all kinds of great stuff on there from the NFL to college football. It's great for people that are in the Devy leagues looking to get that edge over their league mates. So go check out expandtheboxscore.com, proud sponsor of the show. And now, without further ado, on to the IDP 411.
What's up? This is Jared Gray with my co-host Jordan Raines. Going to do our redraft linebacker rankings. This kind of been a long time coming for me and Jordan. We both put our linebacker rankings out. They're pretty comparable, but we got to have the debates, right? I mean, why not?
Got to talk about it. Got to let the people know where our heads are at. You know, we didn't just get here on accident.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, first things first. Big landing spot, Everson Griffin going to the Cowboys. What do you think?
I like it. Right off the cuff. I mean, we saw Robert Quinn be successful there last year. They've added some good guys in the middle with McCoy, Neville Gallimore they drafted. DeMarcus Lawrence is a year removed from his injury, so hopefully he can actually get those sacks to land this year. I'm a fan. I'm happy that Everson Griffin landed somewhere that's got, they have Super Bowl aspirations and they got a good team there. And Everson Griffin, it would be interesting to see if he could be that kind of a playmaker that team needed, kind of like Frank Clark was for the Chiefs last year.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm an Everson Griffin fan. I think Danielle Hunter's going to miss him. I think DeMarcus Lawrence is going to love him. However, I'm kind of wondering where it lands, how much does Gerald McCoy help the other two? Because it's a pretty good pickup for them. I love Neville Gallimore going there, who I think is just a younger version of Gerald McCoy. And I just think he is, in his younger college career, I think Neville Gallimore was really held up. And I think you're going to see him flourish with the Cowboys. I'd love to see him get some playing time. I'm a little worried that he won't because, with the whole no rookie training camp and stuff like that, you're not going to see what Bradley Nay has got for you. You don't see what Neville Gallimore has got for you. Got some good rookies. Obviously, they're really high on CeeDee Lamb. But, man, it's going to be fun. Everson Griffin's a beast, and I think it's a good pickup. I saw somebody pick him up pretty quick in my one of my dynasty leagues, and it was a good pickup for him.
Yeah, I saw a couple of guys in listener leagues somebody picked him up. I forgot who pretty quick. But I got him slotted in right now at 31 on the year. He's in my tier 3 defensive line rankings, which are on expandtheboxscore.com. Go ahead and check that out if you guys want to. Also, I just started my own show, Defense Matters. I'm going to be doing weekly ranking show over there. It's kind of a shorter show, more abbreviated. Going to go over my weekly top 24 to 36 guys every week. And I went ahead and we're doing our top 10 on this show. I did my top 3 or 4 tiers on that show. So I went all the way down to into the 30s, 35, 40. So if you guys want to go check that out, look on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, all those spots, Anchor FM. So if you want to check that out and see kind of where my rankings go deeper than that, than we're going to do here today, go check that out for sure. But yeah, so there's that. And then we had another thing we want to talk about today before we get into the rankings, and that is this poll that I put up yesterday. So I'm going to read it off to you guys. The poll was, who has the most tackles for loss in 2020? And then I gave the options for answers as Jamal Adams, Darwin James, and Landon Collins. And that went out a little less than 24 hours ago from recording this. But, I mean, the stats have pretty much stayed the same. And right now it's got Darwin James winning at 60%. Jamal Adams has 22%. And then Landon Collins has 18% of the votes. What are your thoughts, Jared, on this fact that the general public thinks Darwin James is going to out tackle for loss these two other guys?
Well, here's my thing, and I get that Darwin James had a great year, right? His rookie season. I was as high on Darwin James coming out. He was like my number 3 player of my rookie rankings that year. Listen, what's he got total sacks on his career? Like
tackles for loss.
Sorry, tackles for loss.
He has 7 in his whole career.
Okay. and he played quite a bit at the end of the year last year.
Oh yeah.
Pretty hot. But we're talking about two premier guys on the other side. Jamal
Mm-hmm.
Adams, the press is going to get some love in Seattle, man. That dude is a baller.
Yeah.
And he might even get more looks behind the line playing at Seattle because they're trying to rebuild the whole, the bash aspect of them. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you just look at the numbers, I mean, it's crazy. The poll is insane that people are thinking like this because Jamal Adams' career in tackles for loss is 9, 9, and 10 last year. He played 14 games last year, and he had 10 tackles for loss. So he's 9, 9, and 10. He's averaging 9.75 tackles for loss this season. Darwin James in 2 years has 7 total. Sure, he missed some time last year, but he has 3 and 4 respectively throughout a season. Then you look at Landon Collins last year, 9, the year before 5. Year before that, he had 3, but then 9 and 5. So this guy puts out, I mean, he's averaging 6, 7. These guys are averaging per season, essentially, almost double.
And in one aspect, triple.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like you said, I think people they get starry-eyed when they see certain players, and I get it. I mean, Darwin James is a cool dude. He's a bad mofo, but let's not. It's just crazy to me that he's winning this by a landslide and he puts up 3 tackles for loss a season. Like, people are just so disconnected from reality sometimes on player values and what players are bringing to the field. It's kind of shocking, especially on defense. So wanted to highlight that poll, even though it's the linebacker show. That I put that poll out yesterday. I was just kind of floored me. So guys, don't be that guy in your league. Be smarter than that. Take Landon Collins. Yeah. Take Jamal Adams before you take Darwin James, please. I beg you.
I can understand Dynasty League, you guys, people understand. But Jamal Adams is young.
Yeah, people act like he's 24. He's still on his first contract.
So,
he's been to 2 Pro Bowls. Cam Chancellor was with the Seahawks 10 years. He went to 4.
Ooh.
I mean, Jamal Adams, he doesn't play games. So
no. Yeah,
all right.
That's a good landing spot. I like it. So
yeah.
All right, let's get right to this.
Let's do this. Let's talk about these rankings. So we're gonna go ahead and pull up. We have our positional rankings here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up. I believe this looks like it's mine first. So we got here Jordan's rankings. All right. So my top 10 guys, just gonna read them off to you real quick. I got Darius Leonard, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Smith, Roquan Smith, T.J. Watt, Blake Martinez, Corey Littleton, Joe Schobert, Devin Bush, and Lavonte David. Now we're going to pull up Jared's just so you can see where we're a little bit different in a couple spots. So Jared's got Darius Leonard, Bobby Wagner, Corey Littleton at 3, Blake Martinez at 4, T.J. Watt still at 5, Jalen Smith, Roquan Smith, Joe Schobert 8, Devin Bush 9, and Devin White at 10. Woo! Well, I guess we should just start at the top, huh?
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Darris Leonard he's a baller, dude. In fantasy, if your IDP wants you rescoring, 25 points a game. I mean, that's ridiculous for a linebacker. Bobby Wagner's up there. I mean, he's so consistent. It's hard to take him away, especially in redraft. Corey Littleton, for me, is just dead behind him, if not right with him. And I love his landing spot as much as, look how the points he put up as an outside linebacker. Him and Darris Leonard both. Him going to the middle, I think, is going to be ridiculous. Both him and Nick Kwiatkowski, good coverage guys. Love to see what's going to happen with him overall. Don't know who's going to get the green dot. I kind of hope Corey Littleton doesn't get the green dot just so he can play his game instead of just sit back and do whatever. So I'd love to see him just get crazy and ball out. The difference in you and me is you have
pretty
Roquan
minimal. The top 2 guys, Darius and Bobby Wagner.
And you have Jalen Smith at 3.
Yeah, I have Jalen Smith at 3. The only reason I put him ahead of Blake Martinez and Corey Littleton, is because those guys moved. I did give them just a little tiny ding for changing teams. I like the fact that my top 5 guys are all the guys who are in place where they have been. Darius Leonard, we know he's a monster. Bobby Wagner, I mean, he had the second most tackles he's had in his career this last year. He had like 159. Like just crazy numbers. So
yeah, crazy numbers.
He's 6'7" tackles for loss, I believe. Always good for a handful of pass deflections. Never comes off the field his tackle rate's insane. So Bobby Wagner and Darius Smith for me they're my tier 1 linebackers this year. They're the guys that I'm blocking in as ones. I have zero doubts. There's zero holes in their game that they are going to produce. So that's kind
I
of
like it. Both of them pretty solid. Our changes at 3 and 4.
yeah.
So
let's talk about 3. I got Jalen Smith at 3, and you have Jalen Smith at 6. Why are you got him so low, bro?
I talked about it on our bus and stuff like that. In general, he's being drafted top 3. I think moving him to the outside is going to hurt him a little bit. I think Leighton Vander Esch returns to form, has another good year, takes a lot of tackles away from Jalen Smith this year, and it moves him to 6. Let's not say, still my top 10, and he's a great athlete, but I just don't see him as a top 3 guy this year. Unless this would be a little different if I considered Shaq Barrett a linebacker, but I hope his grievance goes through and he gets his defensive line, tag, because I think that's really what he is. I don't know. Jalen Smith, just for me, I think is going to drop off a little bit. He had a great year last year. I think he returns to basically his 2 years ago form, 115 tackles, 120 tackles, and the thing is his sack numbers could go up if they let him blitz more, being the outside guy.
True. Yeah, I understand with Leighton Vander Esch coming back, and assuming he's healthy, and if he gets to play the whole, 16, that's definitely going to make it harder for Smith to get those tackles. But I have him at 3 just because he's finished top 12 the last 2 years. Maybe he doesn't get all the way up to 125, 30 tackles, but he's consistently getting, he's had 2 forced fumbles every year. Not saying that forced fumbles are necessarily predictive, but if they were, he would be a guy to predict on. 3 years with 2. Like you said, he's had a sack every season at least. He had 4 2 years ago, 2.5 last year. So if he does move over and gets blitzing more, maybe he gets back to that 3, 4, 5 range, and if he hits 120 tackles, the upside is there, for him to get up high. But I like him as a guy that's not going to fall out of the top 12. That's me, though. I definitely understand your thoughts and where you're coming from, but I just think he does enough everywhere on the field, and he's just that good that he's going to me, he's like
he's a great athlete. Do not get it twisted.
I'm super confident in him. I understand why you're a little less so. At your 3, you have Corey Littleton. We kind of just went over him. Let's talk about our 4s. I have Roquan Smith, and you have Blake Martinez, and then I have Blake Martinez at 6. So let's just start with Martinez, your number 4.
Yeah, well, that's my question to you. Why you got Blake Martinez so low? If you're going to ask me Jalen Smith so low.
Well, like I said, whenever I was going through and doing this, the guys that I did give slight knocks to, because originally I had Blake Martinez at 4, and originally I had Blake Martinez and Corey Littleton at 4 and 5, but it really just came down to the fact that they moved, and they're going to a new situation. Everything's not, all things aren't equal for them necessarily. Jalen Smith, Roquan Smith, TJ Watt, they're all still in the same situation, and then my next 3 guys, Littleton, Martinez, and Schobert, they all shuffled around a lot. Now they are still top options. They're still in my tier 2, which are guys that I'm banking on to be linebacker 1s. But like I said, the only ding they had was for the movement. So I put Roquan up a little bit ahead of them. Roquan's been over 100 tackles both years he's been in the league. I know he went out with that pec injury last year, but we've talked about before, he and Danny Trevathan were both fire last season. They were on fire for your IDP teams. I think Trevathan had like 70 something tackles in like 8 or 9 games. Like he was just a man on fire.
He was the LB1 until he got hurt.
And they both blitz a lot. They're both good in coverage. I love them. So that's why I had Roquan.
Danny Trevathan is the steal of the draft in general, because I'm not kidding you. In 3 of my drafts, I picked him up as a reserve guy on the waiver wire, and when he's healthy, he's as good as any linebacker in the league. And I don't care what his age. He's a beast. And I love Roquan Smith. I loved him coming out of college. I don't know what was going on last year with his head case thing and the car accident. I don't really know, but that is interesting to me. Wow, dude, you're
Yeah, I'm hoping he's past that. I mean, things happen. I mean, life is life. I mean, we all definitely understand going through some things. I don't know what the heck that was. I have no idea. All I know is he's very good at football, and I think that he's going to crush this next year. But
don't
you
get me
have
wrong, I
Blake,
love Roquan Smith, but Blake Martinez, bro.
yeah,
I mean,
144, 144, 155. Those are his last 3-year tackle totals. And here's his sack totals the last 3 years: 153, tackles for loss, 10, 10, 5. Pass deflections, 8.32. He's a beast too. I mean,
is he not
I
like the model linebacker? I mean,
yeah,
he's what Nebraska when he coming out of Nebraska. He's what the black shirt defense was about. Those guys, oh, man. It's so funny. When he was coming out of college, I really thought he was going to be a great fit for Pittsburgh, and they ended up not taking him. But dude, I can't believe Green Bay got rid of him. I mean, he's
mm,
prototypical. He's a leader in the locker room. I mean, we had Curtis Bolton on a couple, months ago. I've been talking to him lately. He says that he wasn't the best teammate he's ever seen. I mean, and that's saying something. To call out a rookie calls out a veteran linebacker and said he's the best teammate he's ever had, and then you let him go. I
yeah,
mean, he's one of the best players on your team, and he's young. I'm telling you, he feasts in New York, dude. He what they wanted out of the guy they got a long time ago. Who they just let go? Mental blank.
Ogletree.
Ogletree. He's what they wanted out of Ogletree. I'm telling you right now. The young Ogletree's a beast, dude. I mean, he was a fantasy
Oh yeah,
monster.
I remember him. The
Alec
Ram.
Ogletree was a beast with the Rams. Well, I'm telling you, he's going to blow up in New York and 140 tackles. Just lock it in.
Nice. I love
Call
it.
it good.
He's a great linebacker one. I got him in a couple of dynasty drafts early this offseason at like linebacker 10, linebacker 11. People are just asleep at the wheel, I guess. I mean, I guess Devin White and Devin Bush, they're still more hyped out names, but I'll take that value all day long.
Yeah,
So that
for
was your
sure.
number 4. We talked about Roquan Smith, my number 4. Let's talk about TJ Watt. We both have him up here. I know we would like him to have the edge or DL designation, but he doesn't. So we have to pay homage, though. We're not going to bury this guy in our rankings because he does it all. 55 tackles last year, 68 the year before, 55 as a rookie. Okay, that's great. That's ho-hum, whatever. But 14 and a half, 13, 7 sacks behind the line of scrimmage, tackles for loss, 10, 12, 14. What I call impact plays in IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring, which are all the plays that are over 3 points or over. So that's fumble recoveries, that's sacks, interceptions, passes defended, tackles for loss count 2 because they usually end up stacking, so they're worth more than 2. This guy had over 30 something impact plays. To be a tier 1 defensive lineman for me, their threshold's 24. So he blew that number away. And this guy in this picture right here, Daniil Hunter, he barely squeaked in with impact plays. So he's getting a lot of his work on his tackles and on his sacks, but TJ Watt is everywhere. I have no idea how he was not. If Big Ben would have played 16 games this year, he would have been Defensive Player of the Year. I have no doubt in my
Agreed.
mind. And we've talked about this before. He's got the name value. He's got the look. He had a sack every game for what was that, 8, 9, 10 weeks in a row.
And he
Like
stays healthy.
you were never not talking about TJ Watt. So it really sucked that the Steelers were not as good as they should have been last year. But for us, TJ Watt comes in for both of us at 5. And I think that is a great spot for him. It's tough, depending on how you like to build your team, to say take TJ Watt over Blake Martinez in a draft, especially when a lot of people do not take outside linebackers early. It's hard to tell people to do that, but I was in a dynasty draft recently and I had the 102 all IDP players. I took TJ Watt number 2. Darius Leonard went number 1. And I feel great about that, So if you're not scared to play for the big week, if you're not scared to play an outside linebacker as your true 1 and pick up those tackles somewhere else, TJ Watt is your guy. In Durant.
Yeah, I agree. TJ Watt's. I mean, he stays healthy. He's consistent. A consistent sack guy Dude, that's hard to say. Okay. Consistent behind the line. Like I say, you have 30 impact plays last year. I don't see why
30
he didn't have
plus.
30 impact. Yeah, I don't see why I don't have it again this year. You and me both, all about him. Great.
If you just count his pass deflections and his forced fumbles, that's 16 impact plays right there. That's not counting his 2 interceptions or his 14 tackles for losses or his 4 fumble recoveries. Like, this guy is unreal. So I don't fade him in I don't fade him in IDP. I don't care. He's top 5 for me in redraft this year. He's my number 2 in Dynasty. If you guys are on Dynasty Nerds, go check that out. I updated that. I've been thinking about it. When I took him 2 overall in that draft, right after Darius Leonard, I tested my convictions, and that's where he is. So there's that, So who we got next on this list? I got Blake Martinez, I believe, at 6, who we just talked about. So, yep. So I had Corey Littleton next, who we've already talked about a little bit.
I got Jalen.
All right, you got Jalen Smith at 6 and Roquan Smith at 6 and 7. So we just flip-flop there, it looks like, for 3 and 4 and 6 and 7. Let's talk about our man, All-Pro Joe Show. Moving down to Jacksonville this offseason. Are you expecting more big things from him?
I mean, look what he did as an outside linebacker with Cleveland. And I get that Cleveland had a bad year last year, but he's been consistent. Let's be real, dude. Inside linebacker, if this was Telvin Smith, would he be in the top 5?
Probably.
Yeah. At inside linebacker at Jacksonville. Okay. So All-Pro Joe proves that he can do it all over the place. Okay. He's a beast. I mean, he's just consistent. He's a great coverage linebacker, great hands, good pass deflections. Dude's a sure tackler. I mean, he's got a lot of big plays on his way. He's good for 2 interceptions this season, right? If not 4, because I don't know why you target him. But going across the middle, and if you look at that division, those quarterbacks love the middle. So guess what? Interception, pass deflection. I'm telling you, All-Pro Joe is right where he's supposed to be in the top 10 of this, redraft rankings. And dude's a savage, man. I love him coming out of college. And he's another guy. I just don't know how Cleveland got rid of him. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. You got Phillip Rivers in the division now. He should be good for at least 1 pick off Phillip Rivers, I imagine. But 144 tackles this year, in 2017, 103 in 2018, 133 this last year. Pass deflections 4.69, interception, 4 interceptions, tackles for loss 4.37. So yeah, I mean, like you said, he does it all. Sacks 3.32. He's capable, and he got paid to go to Jacksonville and be a playmaker. And I'm with you. I fully expect him to pull that off fairly with ease and with style. So let's see who else we got on this list. Joe Schobert at 8. Schobert 8 for both of us. All right, we both have Devin Bush at 9 as well. So we're both expecting Devin Bush to, looks like, take this jump this next year into that, a top 10 linebacker.
I mean, if you look at what he did last year, when he got to play, and he really played quite a bit towards the end of the season, but there was a lot of games where he was getting like 60%, and he had a 52% game. And we're counting snaps here. He still had really, really good games. There's one week, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. If he was playing, if he was your starting guy and he's having, an okay game, he had the last 3 tackles of a game, including 2 tackles for loss. Dude, that's monsters. Okay, we're talking, 10 points in 3 plays.
Yeah, back to back
right?
to back.
So
I had him, and it was great.
Yeah, we talked about it that week, and just like, oh well, here he is, and that's who he is. That's who he can really be. It would be awesome if they, put Bud Dupree where he's supposed to be. TJ Watt, what he's supposed to be, and you got they're loaded defensively.
Yeah,
Tuitt, Hayward, and Devin Bush is just going to sit right in the middle and swarm. So love him. Love we always talk about how good he is, and we both believe he's top 10 guy. He's going to get the playing time this year. They eased him in last year, which we both kind of thought might happen. And he still had over 100 tackles, had 70 solos. My guy right behind him, Terrell Edmonds, had 71.
Yeah, buddy,
Keep
your guy.
plugging my man Terrell Edmonds. So I'm telling you right now, watch out. So he's gonna have a big year. 130.
Agreed. Nice. Calling your shot. Yeah, I agree too. I mean, he only played like 82% of the overall or total snaps last year, which that number can and should probably come up. I see him closer to like 90, 95. But still, he managed to have 109 tackles combined, 9 tackles for loss, which is awesome. 72
That's
solos, 4 pass deflections, forced fumble, 4 fumble recoveries. I had somebody ask me on Twitter when I put my rankings out, they're like, why no Tremaine Edmonds? Everybody's like, no this, no that, no whatever. I'm like, yeah, there's only 10 spots, but no Deion Jones, no Tremaine Edmonds, no, who's the other guy they asked? Fred Warner. And they're kind of like, why? And I was like, well, I mean, I have my, I kind of let them know. I was like, look, Devin Bush did a lot with a little. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds and Fred Warner played a bajillion snaps. And, bang for your buck, though, Devin Bush was still right there with them. And I, went and looked at their tackle rates, and Devin Bush had a higher tackle rate than Fred Warner and Tremaine Edmonds. So that's in his favor. He had a higher solo tackle rate than both of them, and noticeably higher than Tremaine Edmonds, but he had a lot of assists this year. So I don't know if I expect that to
let's not get it
low.
twisted about Tremaine Edmonds. I think legitimately he could be Defensive Player of the Year. Okay. And he's not in my top 10. However, and I really believe that he could jump in and be a Defensive Player of the Year. He's that good. He's a sure tackler, right? And I think they held him back a lot last year. They kind of let him go his rookie season, and you saw what he could really be. And last year, I don't know if he was dealing with an injury or what, and he still had solid numbers. Do not get it twisted. He could very easily be in this top 10. I love him. There's guys that I could pull out of here, no problem, and put him in. He is right there. So I love Tremaine Edmonds. I have in every league that I own. So
I've got him at 16. He's just a little bit outside, but I just think I think the path for Devin Bush to more snaps and his productivity so far with what he's been given is, I just think he's got a better shot than Tremaine Edmonds. Now, it's not knocking Tremaine Edmonds. That's just kind of how I see it. And obviously, that's kind of how you see it originally, too, because, I mean, that's what our rankings have. So at 10, we both have a Tampa Bay Buccaneer linebacker, but we both have different Tampa Bay linebackers. You have Devin White. I have Lavonte David. So you have Devin and Devin back-to-back. You're expecting Devin White to take that pretty big jump, too, huh?
Well, here's my thing. And I planted my flag with Devin White. I truly believe that he could be the next Derrick Brooks. Okay. And for that to happen, I got to continue with it. And I think he's actually more athletic than Devin Bush. I think he is just an all-around better linebacker than Devin Bush, but he has to get the opportunity. And let's be real. If Lavonte David was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, would Devin Bush be ahead of him? It's a matter of location, right? I mean, Lavonte David, right, has a great group in front of him now. JPP, Ndamukong Suh, Shaq Barrett, right? Great group in front of him, right? Vita Vea. I think you're going to see Devin White blow up this year, and I could very easily see those two flop. And this top 10 is tight. I mean, let's be real. I mean, we're talking minuscule points here. I really believe that, especially the last 5. So they could all flip. And I love Devin White. I'm a true believer. I'm a truther for sure.
I've got Lavonte David at 10. I've got Devin White at 20 for me. That's still like in my linebacker 1 region because kind of by where my tiers are. They have linebacker 1 upside. But I mean, Lavonte David has just been so rock solid. I mean, he had 3 seasons to start his career over 100 solo tackles. Yeah, he hasn't hit giant numbers since 2015, which was his last year to really go up. He hit 147. But the last 3 years, he's been trending up, and he's been playing a little less. So he played all 16 this year. He had 16 tackles. 10 tackles for loss. He's a tackle for loss machine, which I love. And he's good in coverage. I mean, he's had a 13 pass deflection season, a 10 pass deflection season, 7 last year, which is third best season of his career. It's not to say that I don't like Devin Bush. It's just I know what the upside of Lavonte David is, and I think that he's going to cap whatever upside Devin Bush might have. So I just have Bush just a little bit lower than him. But I want people to realize, Lavonte David, Demario David, some of these guys like this, you can play them as a linebacker one with ease, and you should. They have a track record of great success. So that's who we have at 10. We actually did go all the way to 12. We didn't have a cool ranking made up for that, but we have these other ones. These are pretty cool too. These aren't from the XTB.
So.
Whoa. All right, so who we got here? This me or you? This is you, Jared's library. So you're at 11 and 12. You have Jordan Hicks and Zach Cunningham, and I have the same guys there too. So we're definitely on point with these two guys. Zach Cunningham is not sexy, and I think that's why people are kind of sleeping on him. I see him go, linebacker 16, 17, 18 sometimes in drafts, and it's like this dude had like 100 and almost 50 tackles last year.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't even play like 80-something% of snaps. So there's room for growth here, even with him. And Jordan Hicks,
I think
he came out of nowhere with the health.
Dude, Jordan Hicks was top 5 linebacker last year.
He was like number 1, and he was either 1 or 2 in almost every league I was in.
Well, we thought he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Listen to me. I'm a Stephon Gilmore truther, and he didn't deserve it. Okay? He did not deserve Defensive Player of the Year.
No.
Okay? I'm sorry. There's another safety that played for the Minnesota Vikings that had 6 interceptions. Let's just put that out there. Okay? And nobody's even talking about that dude. So there's that. Zach Cunningham is consistent. He's a beast. When he's healthy, he's a solid guy. Jordan Hicks is just an all-around. We talk about when you get moved, you kind of have a resurgence sometimes, right? Kiko Alonso, when he moved to Miami, had a phenomenal year, right? He ended up getting injured, still dealing with that injury. I think Zach Bond's going to take that spot eventually, because honestly, Zach Bond is a Joe Schobert clone. Same school, same tackle numbers in college. They look the same. Mark it down. Zach Bond's going to be a beast. But if you look at Zach Cunningham and Jordan Hicks, both really solid guys, the big playability is there, and that's why they're there. And like I said, Terrell Edmonds could be right in there. We've got guys between 12 and 20 between you and me that very easily could crack the top 10. The top 20 is savage at linebacker. And then there's just a massive drop-off. I mean, massive drop-off, in my opinion. So, I don't know. It's just crazy. It's fun to do this, and but you really think about, man, should I put this guy in here? But that's the whole part about debating. I could eat crow for one or another. I might eat crow for saying Jalen Smith's going to be a 6 guy, but I don't think so. He might even drop to 11. I said that a couple weeks ago.
We will see. We got an interesting thing about Zach. Go for it.
I still say I'm gonna plant my flag. Say Danielle Hunter's not even close to number 1.
Ooh, we'll see. I think
I don't believe it. He lost too much, man.
He did lose a lot. I had a couple of people ask me this week.
He might be top 3, top 4, but he ain't gonna be number 1. He wasn't number 1 last year.
No, he wasn't. On Sleeper, where you have a DL, he wasn't. I had several people ask me.
Was he top 4?
He was 2, I think. 2 or 3. I think he was 3. I know Chandler Jones was number 1. I actually had I had more than one person this week ask me Chandler
and that's
Jones
only because
or Danielle Hunter.
Shaq Barrett and TJ Watt have a linebacker.
Yeah. Because if they were DL eligible, they would have been 2 and 3.
He'd have been 5 or 6. We talked about this the other day.
Yep, and he would have been Danielle Hunter would have been 5 or 6, 4 or 5 or 6. Zach Cunningham had the second most solo tackles in the league last year, low key, behind Budda Baker. So there's a fun little stat nug for you guys out there. Don't sleep on Zach Cunningham. He's boring, unsexy, but when JJ Watt
gets no love.
Well, he's getting some love finally.
No love.
But once J.J. Watt's gone, this is going to be Zach Cunningham's team, I think, as far as being a leader and a veteran. This is going to be his 4th year. So I have him ahead of Fred Warner. Not ashamed of it. You can go check out my full rankings, like I said earlier, at expandtheboxscore.com. And then who do I have at 12? Yeah, Jordan Hicks. We've already talked about Jordan Hicks. I gave him a little bit of a knock just because Isaiah Simmons is coming in. Devondre Campbell's coming in. So it's not going to be just he's the only show in town. I mean, last year he had to deal with Hassan Reddick and some guy with a mustache whose name I forgot. So he's actually got competition for tackles now. So gave him a little knock, but he still falls into my tier 2. And I have 2 more guys in my tier 2. I'll just finish those out for you guys. I have Demario Davis and Chandler Jones, who I just brought up. Jones, I have him in my linebacker rankings on Fantasy Pros, but during the season, I'm going to obviously put him in my DL rankings because we play everything on Sleeper. So, but like I said, go check out the new podcast, Defense Matters. I go through my entire tier setup with you guys through my first 30 odd or 40 linebackers and DBs and DL and all that. So, but
we had a question pop up. Is it best to draft a defensive lineman before any other IDP first? We've talked about this. It could go a bunch of different ways. If you got a linebacker that's defensive line eligible, like T.J. Watt in Sleeper, like Shaq Barrett, I don't know if it is. I mean, I watched Aaron Donald go second in one of my drafts. I watched Daniel Hunter go, third. Obviously, Darris Leonard went first. Darris Leonard has just got such a high aspect. And if he's grabbable, I think you go get him. But with, like I said, linebacker's pretty deep. Defensive line's not deep.
I feel like that's a fallacy anymore, though. I really do. I feel like I just drafted Dante Fowler at DL 24 in a league, and he finished top 6 last year. It's not as crazy. Shallow as it used to be because there are a lot of guys that are these double tag guys coming back. Darius Smith, he's climbing rankings. Bradley Chubb is climbing rankings. DeMarcus Lawrence is coming back into the fold. People are on the radar. Chase Young, Max Crosby. I mean, it's not as thin as you'd think. And then you still I haven't even talked about Trey Flowers, Carlos Dunlap, Cameron Jordan, some of these other guys that are just kind of in the middle. So DL is not
Crosby.
DL is not. I don't think it's necessarily best. I don't want to say what's best or what's not best, but if I am taking the first IDP off the board, I'm taking Darius Leonard. And if it's a dynasty, the second guy I'm taking is TJ Watt and Daniil Hunter. And I've been in so many drafts this offseason, and somebody told me that Daniil Hunter went first in a couple of drafts I was in, or they were in, or whatever. I've never seen Daniil Hunter with my own 2 eyes go before I've seen Darius Leonard go. People might rank it like that because it might look good, and they might get the accolades and the backpats to the rest of the guys in the community, and that's great, and it's safe and it's smart. But when the rubber meets the road, Daniil Hunter is never the first IDP off the board in any leagues I've been in.
Dude, look at the points. Darius Leonard missed almost 4 games last year.
Yeah,
and averaged 20 points a game.
He crushed him points wise. Let's just pull this up. We have this stuff on here. Where is it at? All right, so defensive lineman Daniil Hunter finished with 279. Yeah, Shaq Barrett had almost 60 points more than him. TJ Watt had almost 60 points more than him. Darius Leonard missed 2 games, had almost 50 points more than him.
He really missed 3 games.
Yeah. So if you want to take Daniil Hunter first or a defensive lineman first, that's fine if you believe in the positional scarcity argument. But I would say the position is deeper than it usually has been. And the difference between the cream of the crop guys, there's 2 guys that really stand out on this list. And then the drop-off is somewhat substantial, and the points you're just not going to make up those. I would rather make up those points with my linebackers usually, just anecdotally speaking. So to answer the question, is it best to take a top DL before any other IDP first? No, I don't believe so. I think it's up to you. If you want to do that, that's fine, but that's not what I would do, and that's not what most people I think are really doing anymore these days. So.
We've done 2 mock drafts. You did one by yourself and then one with me on the show. I would take that team that I drafted on either team and on any IDP aspect. So,
Russ bringing up a good point here. He says, I think it depends on the roster setup, which is true. If you're starting 4 or 5 defensive line and you're only starting 2 or 3 or 3 linebackers, it might make a little bit more sense.
I would agree in that aspect because
Yeah.
you got to have a deep thing. But if you're talking,
You have to have it. Yeah.
You're starting 2 defensive linemen and a flex,
Yeah.
and you can start 4 linebackers.
Yeah, or even 3. Even 3 defensive line, I'm still taking a linebacker first. When you get to 4, I would think about it, but again, I'm not overly scared. So that's a great point, though.
Lewis, go check out our 2 mock drafts that we did. You can see, and those were some very good groups playing with us. Maybe we'll get an entire group of guys together. If you got one cornerback, who knows, man? There's so many guys you can grab. Marshawn Lattimore, Jeff Okudah is going to be targeted like crazy this year, so I like him as a single guy, even though he's a rookie. I think he's a beast.
That's the Davis White. I was doing some research this morning. I was looking at the impact plays. This mofo, he only gets like 60 tackles, but he's gotten 29 his rookie year impact plays. That's 3 points plus, and he got 30 impact plays last year. He has more tackles for loss than Darwin James does by like 3 or 4. He's a corner.
New list. Davis White, bro. He's real.
Don't tell him.
I agree.
Don't tell him.
It's real.
Yeah, Davis White.
People like facts, bro.
No place in fantasy pontification for facts, bro. Get out of here. All right. I don't think there's any more questions in our chat. It was nice to have some people pop on. Shout out to Russ. What up, dude? What up, Luis?
Thanks for always popping in, Luis.
Mage. Appreciate you guys. All right. Well, we don't have Steve with us today, but he's with us in spirit. We love you, Steve, wherever you are. We know you'll be listening to the show. Big
doing
shout
DL
out,
rankings next week.
DL rankings should be next week, or defensive back rankings, one of the two. If you guys want some a little more abbreviated versions, like I said, my Defense Matter show, I'll post that to be on the YouTube channel. I'll post that on the podcast feed as well. Go check that out. Subscribe to that. That should have all those shows up in the next couple of days. Not as deep dive as me and Jared go into, but I'm just kind of like running through my top 36 guys basically. And you can check out my full rankings on XTB. IDP Army, we appreciate you. We love you. I'm going to turn it over to Jared.
Until next week. Hey, everybody before next week, let's wish Jordan congratulations. He's getting married tomorrow. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Long time coming. Until next week, let's go.